The purpose of this is that, we're all involved with an amazing company, and there's a lot, of people involved in this company, and they're predominantly female. And it's interesting because a lot of us men got together and, we started talking about this culture here, which we'll talk a little bit about today. But we thought it'd be timely. We thought it would be powerful to really focus on men. And the reason I say warrior men, which I know you can appreciate, Rashied, and for men that are joining this call today or maybe next week or whenever, warrior men are men. They're not perfect, by the way. They are men that work on themselves. They are men that realize that they need to be stronger. And the one thing, Rashied, you and I have talked about before, and I'm excited for you to share your story. I can't wait, which will be momentarily. Is that men today, they're battling ego. They're battling, insecurities, right? They're always trying to find their place in the marketplace today, in the global economy. It's changed so much over the decades, over the years. And so I think it's important, and it's, for most men, critical that they ask for help. Doesn't matter what category. It could be money, could be marriage, could be, just their personal growth. I'm sure you're going to agree with all the above, but, and just starting off here today, and for those of you that are joining us, that's the purpose of this call, is to help you become a better person. So I know we have some women on here, and you have men too. So, feel free to tag your man, right? And jump on this call, because we just get started. If you're on Facebook, please host a watch party. Okay, share this amazing information. You'll be excited once you get a little bit of taste of Rashied and his wisdom in life. But you know what? I'm not gonna take anything away from your intro. I would just like to start today, if you don't mind, Rashied, just sharing with everybody your background in a nutshell, your life as a pastor, as a businessman, a family man. I'm fortunate because I've been able to watch you in action. I've been able to get to know you. I've been able to witness, and I've said this many times, I just really enjoy hearing you speak, because you share a lot of information that's powerful. It's game changing. So, but I'd love to start off, if you don't mind, just share with everybody a little bit about yourself, and let's get this party started.
Yeah, first, I really, I want to just give it right back to you, Mike. I hold you in high esteem. I have a great deal of respect for you. Men of integrity are hard to find these days. And maybe they're hiding from me, but I'm grateful to know you, grateful for you creating this opportunity for us to reach out to men in particular, but ladies, we certainly aren't trying to exclude you. So I do serve as a pastor in the Philadelphia area. It's a growing ministry, and I'm second generation in senior pastorate. My father was the founder and long-standing pastor of the ministry, and I see it as my service. So it's interesting growing up a PK. For anyone who doesn't know what that means, a preacher's kid. Some of the stigmas about us is that we're the worst. We're the worst imaginable. Just a lot of us trying to prove that, we're not goody two shoes, that we're not out of touch with the real world. And, I succumbed to some of those negative influences. So even though I grew up in a very spiritual house with excellent parents who were loving and nurturing, living the messaging that they were sharing with us and requiring of us, I made some interesting decisions, did a lot of felonious things in the streets. Thank God I never ended up in jail or dead. But, I was always, at one time in my life, I was in love with money and was willing to do anything to get it. And so ended up doing some really wild stuff. But thank God one day came to myself, realized that I was living below my pedigree as a son of God, and found my way back in relationship with Christ, and just committed to empowering others. Was in corporate America for about 8.5 years after working for a short time at a local hospital here in Philadelphia in research and development. And, I thought at that point in my life, I'd made it, that I was making incredible money at a very early age. It certainly didn't amount to what I was doing in the streets, and the way I was getting it very fast. And It was a ridiculous time in my life. But out of corporate America, I just came to realize that there wasn't much freedom there. So I had all the money I wanted. I could travel when I wanted, but my time to do all of those things is very limited. So was influenced, I believe, by the Holy Spirit to walk away from corporate America to enter into full-time ministry, and took a 45% pay cut to do that. Life became very interesting. So, I went from being able to do whatever I wanted financially to really having to change my lifestyle. Now, I'm not telling you I was destitute, that my wife and I were on the streets at any point, but life was definitely different, right? It was a lot of stress through that time. As I reflect back on it now, being honest with myself as a healthier man now, I think I was experiencing some mild depression back then, because I was kind of like sitting around and, kind of wallowing in self-pity to some degree that I wasn't able to do certain things, because I came up in that conditioning that men, we're providers, we're protectors, all that kind of stuff. And I believe we are those things. We're just not those things alone. So long story short, one day just came to the realization that multiple streams of income was very, very important, right? I was 100% responsible for the income coming into the household that I represented. And I just came to realize it's not a very comfortable place to be. I believe in learning from others' experiences and the wisdom that can be gained from being an observer. And watched a lot of people lose their jobs, being laid off after following the formula,
Okay.
getting their accreditations, all of that kind of stuff.
The replay on this.
Okay. Oh, there's somebody on the back line.
Yeah. Let me hold
So
on.
as you're working that out, I just came to realize multiple streams of income is really important, and I was introduced to this industry. Now I'm very cynical when it comes to a lot of things, but when it comes to business, especially, you've got to show me how it makes sense, right? So I was very averse to network marketing in the beginning, really just going off of what I heard from a lot of people. Didn't have much of my own experience with it, but I connected with a vision that made sense and seemed to harmonize with the vision I believe I'm here to purposely serve. And so in that, partnered with some great people, with a company that was thriving at the time, and didn't look back. I just believe now this is probably one of the most elegant business models known to man, very simply because we are able to empower each other and enrich the lives of one another in a way that just doesn't translate in other modalities in business. So that's the long and short of it, having the time of our lives now, that we're connected with people like you and Brandy and Jared and Portia, my brother and sister Paul and Nina. Like it's a thrilling time.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's, what I love about this industry and hearing you speak today and telling your story, which we appreciate. It's awesome, just to hear as we get to know more and more people in this company, how attractive, and you're a good looking dude, but I say attractive by, the culture, and that starts from the top down. I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership, because I know for men today, leadership is important. Again, no one's perfect. Some of the greatest generals in war, they have their ups and downs. We look at our leader here, Mark and Cindy Pentecost. And, the one thing I want to talk to you about, and I'd love your feedback on for everybody is, and I've had an advantage. I've known Mark since 2007, and just has always remained such a humble man through all his success, but he also, I believe that the reason they're humble is because of two things. One, they started from scratch. They started from nothing. So they know what it feels like to have nothing. And they really cherished when they had something, and they're God-fearing. So I want to talk to you about that with leadership today, because, when you look at a company like our our company today. It Works Global. They've been around almost 20 years. They're a debt-free billion-dollar company. They have amazing, affordable, trendy, sexy products. Compensation plan, they've never changed it. It just improves, pays out millions and millions of dollars a month. So there's no question mark of those variables. I think the variables, you would agree with me, is it's us. It's the individual. However, when you are coming into this culture, and I'd love to hear your experience coming into this culture here of personal growth, because that's the variable we all have to be worried about, right? Let's talk about personal growth for a little bit in leadership.
Yeah, it's so firstly, my sister and I, a number of us who ended up locking arms and partnering with It Works, we were able to go down to headquarters and to actually meet Mark. At the time, I don't think Cindy was there the day we were there, but Mark, Mike Patillo, Cammie Pentecost, the one thing I was really convinced by, persuaded even the more by, was there were no lapses in integrity. And when they spoke of their faith, it wasn't a selling point. All right. Now, being a pastor, you have to understand there are a lot of people, as soon as they think they have to play this religious card, right? Because they want to seduce you into partnership because they know that the networks can be vast. But I never got that from Mark and Mike. When Mark spoke of his faith, and then reading some of the articles that were hanging on his wall, you could just see the sincerity in his faith, that he's living what he's saying his life is about. And that made me feel very much at ease. When people start hugging and kissing me and we just met, it's a bit off-putting, so it almost makes you feel like, well, what's the angle here? So the culture here is all about people. I've seen that consistently throughout everyone that I've spoken with. And again, it's not a perfect situation. We all know everyone's not going to be on that page, but that speaks nothing to the kind of leadership that is here. So, for me, that's what this is all about. It's about people. I live that day in, day out. That right there is a thrill. Just knowing that, Mark and Cindy, throughout the family, and then throughout the It Works family, it's just amazing to see. So personal growth, I live that as a part of my faith. I see this as an extension of my ministry. Speaking of network marketing, I look at it as an extension of my ministry. And I'm all about people just being honest with themselves about the whole of who they are, because I live by that same principle. So it's not about flawlessness. It's just about continued development, a commitment to be, for me, it's to be like Christ, right? But for others who don't believe what I believe, maybe it's just a commitment to be better than you were yesterday, right? Yeah. So better at keeping your word to others and then to ourselves, better to upholding the promises that we've made in every regard. And I think it's important to make sure we kind of stick a pin right here, because people tend to represent facts and details with a lot of verity with other people, right? And they spend their lives trying to make sure that I do right by this person. Did I make sure that I represented that properly with this person? Did I not exaggerate this point with this person? But sometimes our greatest lapse in integrity is with the man or the woman in the mirror, right? So some of us have made some promises to ourselves about the life we intended to live, about the things we intended to accomplish, about the legacy we intended to establish, to leave for our children's children as an inheritance. And for some of us, we're just not really meeting the mark as it pertains to integrity, in making sure that we're moving in that direction. Because it's just easier to do it the way that is established as normalcy in the world system. So, I'll go in, do my honest 8 or 10 or 12 hours and get my paycheck and keep it moving. So personal growth is important because it'll help you to start elevating your perspective beyond where you come from, what your experiences have been, the people groupings you're a part of. For me, I remember specifically visiting the Pentecost Ranch, and I realized then something that I knew theoretically, but then it was really crystallized for me, and that is there's levels to this, you know. And the one thing that I have to say I truly respect about the Pentecost family is they're living their legacy, right? They're not just going to leave a legacy, they're living their legacy. And I just changed my own goals, my own focus. I do not intend to bless my family with my death, right? By leaving a legacy. I intend to enjoy the blessing of God with my family and live that legacy now, to be able to see the joy and the light in my wife's eyes now, in my son and my daughter's eyes today. So personal growth, it's everything. It translates to every part of our life.
Man, you were dropping some nuggets. Like the last that last session was awesome. I just wrote that down about leaving and living a legacy, and that was powerful. So I mean, people, you know, they travel and spend a lot of money to attend events to get information that they're actually getting from you today. So on that note, everybody, if you're watching on Facebook or after this recording is posted, you definitely want to share and tag some people in your life. You never know. You know what I love about this industry, just from day one, is that what Jim Rohn always said, you never know which event's going to be yours. Meaning,
Yes.
you know, when you share your story to the world, when you share some of the wisdom, regardless of what your story is and regardless of what experiences you have had, you never know which person might listen and the light bulb goes off and you change a life every time. It's powerful. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening right now, because we've always pushed, you know, it's interesting, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, you know, for over 20 years, I've been promoting this industry, home business industry. And it's funny because I just don't know any different. And so when this crisis happened, which is horrible, what's going on in the world today, no doubt. I mean, it's taken jobs away from people. It's taken freedoms away from many people and their lives away from many people. I mean, there's so much to even discuss on that point. However, we always have to look at one of two things when it comes to crisis. You know, there's always an opportunity that we have to look at for ourselves. And I said last night on a Zoom, you know, because I get this type of information from warrior men like you, it's either you're going to have faith at your front door or you're going to have fear at your front door. So I do want to talk to you about that in this time of opportunity and crisis. Rashiid, what are your nuggets for everybody out there today in this time right now specifically? Again, we know it's a crisis happening around the world, but what are your thoughts on how it can become an opportunity for people?
That's a great question. To be honest, it's an opportunity when we take action. It's a curse when we don't. You know, it's all about how we meet the knock at the door. All right. And opportunity doesn't always come knocking. So for any one of you who has been impacted, so I am a businessman. I run two other businesses outside of my involvement with It Works and ministry. And those two other businesses are not virtually, but they are in hiatus right now because they require my physical presence to run those businesses, right? They involve direct interaction with other people. And in a crisis where we are now forced to distance ourselves and to not be with one another, this is the moment where any one of you who doesn't have an immediate plan right now that you're executing, or if you've been kind of squeamish about creating another stream of revenue through an industry like this, opportunity is showing up, and it's literally asking everyone, what are you going to do with me? All right. I'm here, I'm available, I'm accessible. So here's just a point of honesty. For many people who are engaged in this industry right now, who understand what this industry is all about, and in my opinion, it is first and foremost about community, okay? It's about people working with people. All right. Those of us who are a part of this industry, our businesses are growing when many other businesses are failing, or they are now, on their way to failure. Our personal incomes are increasing and about to increase exponentially because we're a part of an industry that isn't subject to an economy beyond the economy that we create in our community. So I hope everybody will open their minds and open their ears, especially men. Men, we can be so rigid in our thinking at times, and especially smart men, right? And I believe all the men that are going to see this, the men that are on the line right now, perhaps, your intelligence is a huge advantage and benefit until it isn't. All right. And sometimes we're too smart for our own good. And so we reject the thing that's meant for our preservation so that we don't have to respond to a crisis. Okay. So, the church right now is another one of those entities where we've had to shut down services to be wise and protect, the most vulnerable among us. And I can't do that right now. But I have no fears. I have no worries. One, my faith is in God. But two, I have a business that continues to grow, whether I'm there physically or I'm doing it digitally by Zoom or by live or by a phone call. It's amazing. So opportunity is knocking. It's either going to be friend or foe based upon how anyone seeing this information responds.
Absolutely. That was awesome, man. I heard something last night from Mike Patillo, and he said, you know what? Money is continually exchanging hands, regardless of what's happening in the world. And that was powerful. I mean, it's a strong statement. A lot of people, sometimes what they say is, you're preying on people with your network marketing business, and actually we're helping people. That's what we do.
Yes.
We help people with their health. We help people with their finances. And for some people, which I love the word community because it's so true, how many people come into our business and they're not even here to make money. They're here to be a part of something. They actually just want to grow. They want to be in an environment that's exciting and fun. And people say, hey, man, let's climb up this ladder together, right? None of us are perfect. We all have flaws, but we're gonna hug each other and make it work, right? So, and that's part of that community. You'd be amazed at how many people join this business, as you know, and then it turns into something because they grow personally. Now their mind opens up enough to where they say, you know what, I actually deserve this money.
Yes.
Let's talk about money for a little bit, because now for the men joining, I see we have some other veterans that have joined us on Zoom, and I'm sure we've got more people jumping on the Facebook Live. But we all need a vehicle. So I want to talk to you, everybody on this call, about this vehicle and hear from Rashiid on this. But we've got this 20-year-old debt-free billion-dollar company just recently announced when we all came in, a year and a half plus ago, not that long ago, that they were launching new products. And boy, did they launch new products, Rashiid, over 30 new products in 2019. We were like, whoa, what happened? But we did tell people that was going to happen, and we saw it happen in flying colors. We mentioned international expansion. Last year, we watched the company open up Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Mexico, and that's going to continue. So these are exciting times. But conference for the guys, the dudes, everybody out, we got to talk a little bit about coffee, because I looked at this company for the first time, and I'd like to say it was kind of an accident when I first met Mark, and he asked me to come up to Michigan in 2007. He was intrigued, and a couple trips I had just come back from Africa, and we were just having these great conversations. And I went up and I met him, and I learned about the wrap, which I was kind of like, women wraps. I was kind of like,
right.
However, as a man, we would use that product. We just won't promote it on Facebook. We won't share the before and afters. But I thought, man, what a cute company. And I'm like, this dude is awesome. He's a humble guy. He's, blah, blah, blah. However, you fast forward to today, you look at our conference, we just launched, in my opinion, one of the most amazing products this industry has ever seen, and that's Skinny Brew. So now we've got a product for everyone. Rashiid, let's talk to the men out there today. Let's talk to people. When you look at a business, I like to sell, okay? And I can tell, you're a great presenter yourself naturally in your gift. your gifts from God, like being a pastor and speaking. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are succeeding right now, Rashiid, that they don't like sales because everybody drinks coffee. But what do you think of Skinny Brew? What's your insight on Skinny Brew, and what has it done for your business, and where do you see this going?
It's amazing. And I don't use that word, lightly. I'm not reducing that to a cliche. So again, being very cynical, I needed to get my own results with the product. Firstly, we sampled it while we were at conference. Conference was amazing. Just helped me to further evaluate the upside potential with this vehicle. I call it a rocket because it really is, right? But Skinny Brew, it helped me personally to lose 9 pounds in about 7 days. Lost some inches around my waistline. Hadn't really made any other real changes to my diet and things. But I believe in working out, staying fit. And then a number of people in our success team, just lost 29 pounds, like a Sheila Burgess lost 29 pounds. Another young woman, 15 pounds in 14 days. Like the Skinny Brew is the real deal, right? Wow. Now, my wife and I, coffee is a big deal for us. We have coffee every day. And I never drank coffee black until Skinny Brew. Okay. So I wanted all the benefits of it. And so it tastes good enough where I could drink the coffee black. All right. It is definitely curbing people's appetites, helping people get over those bad cravings. But the money side of Skinny Brew, I can't tell you enough, men, again, especially men, you're smart. You already know coffee is a big deal, all right? There are some people who have such an emotional and psychological attachment to coffee, it changes who they are after they have 1 cup, okay? So coffee's a big deal from that standpoint. Secondly, I don't care if you go around a Starbucks, a Dunkin' Donuts, a Wawa, coffee is flying out of those stores at record pace, okay? And it just seems like more and more people are drinking coffee and they're willing to pay top dollar for something you can make at home, right? So the business potential in this is exponential, all right? Our business is doubling because of this one product, Skinny Brew. Our business is doubling, all right? And when we have healthy coffee and it's giving people the results that they want, it's just catching on. So me, I am a speaker, but I'm not necessarily of that 5% of natural sales types. So I don't enjoy the sell, all right? I don't like being sold. I don't enjoy the sell, but I will share information. I'll share good news. So I'm sharing this with as many people as I can, get in position. This like behind water, this is the second most consumed beverage in the world, all right? And it's only second to water. It's the second highest traded commodity on the stock market, okay? That's saying something. And it's only going to continue to increase, especially now while people are now open to other avenues of earning. So get in position. Like if you've not really considered this before, the Skinny Brew is a real game changer.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, you put a bow on that presentation. That was awesome. And I love it because, that's what's needed sometimes. You need to hear that from different perspectives. That's what I love about these Warrior Men calls. And, we talk about we're having different conversations, but, at the end of the day, we're saying the same thing. And everyone needs to understand the timing and the positioning. I've got one more question for you. And before I do that, I want to share with anybody listening now or later tonight when we post it or tomorrow, whatever. The company is running a promotion where we can join for $49. I'm almost embarrassed when I say that. And I mean that respectfully, but it's like $49. I mean, I have people in my family that would buy franchises for $500,000, or I know people that spend $10,000 minimum to start a business. So it's a $49 investment. It's kind of like a promotion going on right now because everybody was again, forced to stay at home. So I would take advantage of that. We've got some excellent buy one, get one. So you can buy some very healthy greens and reds and, nutritional products if you're watching here today that will end at midnight tomorrow. So take advantage of that plus the $49. Definitely get with the person that invited you to take a look and meet Mr. Rashiid Coleman, who's, in my opinion, I've said this before and I'll say it again, he's a very powerful, influential man, and he makes a difference everywhere he goes. So in wrapping this up, I do want to talk to you about, and this comes up all the time. Okay. So many people ask me, how do you face your fears in life? And, sometimes like we can all relate, Rashiid, like some people are watching or they're tuning in and they want to start a business. There's no doubt when you ask people, and you and I both, we've traveled the world. It doesn't matter what country, what city, doesn't matter. We are all the same as human beings. We all want more time freedom. We all want more financial freedom. We want to look good, smell good, feel good. These are common denominators across the world. And many people, they prejudge or they overthink or the fear is overwhelming. And I love hearing you talk about this in personal growth, but I'm just wondering if you don't mind sharing with everybody, how do you face your fears and what can they do to kind of conquer that fear and move forward? Take a leap of faith today.
Yeah, that's a deep hole right there. Quite honestly, fear takes on many different forms for all of us. So for me, the first thing I do is I put this feeling of fear or this idea of fear under the microscope to understand it, right? One, there's a difference to me. So one is some of us suffer from a spirit of fear, okay? And that really is beyond explanation, okay? There's a part of us deep down where through either soft or hard or direct conditioning, we've been taught to be apprehensive about some things, okay? Some of us have watched people's examples and we've learned some things, although they were not taught, okay, didactically. So that's the first thing. The spirit of fear is different, but I believe fear is a gift, okay? Fear is what triggers that fight or flight response. And for me, as if I experience that dynamic where I'm questioning something, I'm fearful or apprehensive or inhibited in some way, I put it under the microscope. I examine it. What is this really about? So some of us are going to have to give ourselves permission to examine the feeling and not rushing to condemn ourselves for feeling the feeling. All right. And many people, that's where they're stuck. They're stuck at, why am I feeling like this? Why am I not taking action? Why am I being so apprehensive or dismissive about the thing? And when we criticize ourselves, we just shut it down. Nobody wants to go through that. Okay. So that's the first thing. I give myself permission to feel the feeling. And now I'm going to examine it to see if it's real. Right. So let's say somebody is like, I don't know if business is for me, or I'm going to tell you what I do is I put that into perspective. And everything we do well now, we did not do so well at some point. See, we just got to get to the truth in it, right? So even talking, there was a time when we sounded like babbling idiots. Now, people who love us never called us that, but if you got a 1-year-old or 2-year-old learning how to speak, they don't speak well. But we don't tell them, oh, you need to give that up. Talking is not for you. The child doesn't decide, oh, that's it for me. This English thing I got to write that off. It's too hard. No, English is one of the most difficult languages in the world to learn. But we suffer the violence of learning it because it's necessary. All right. When we learned how to walk, same deal. We fell a lot. Some of us, thank God we were created the way we were. We fall. We don't necessarily get hurt, but we understand we're not doing this so well. But none of us decide this walking thing is not for me. I don't know what these legs are all about. We've got to take that same attitude and really put things in a perspective. If it's learning a new skill, especially now when learning new skills is necessary, you have to be ready to suffer the violence of learning. Okay. And it can be a very violent process, but you got to be okay. I stink at it right now, but I'm going to keep doing it until I don't mess it up. All right. So let me make sure I put that in perspective. as we get ready to close this out, some people do a thing until they get it, right? Until they can finally do it. Other people strive for mastery and they do the thing until they can't mess it up. So for me, that's my endeavor. I'm always going to do something so I can't mess it up. I'm going to master it. All right. And if you're ready to go to your next dimension in life, it's going to require that commitment. And that commitment is to you. That commitment is to your results. It works as the benefactor or, the beneficiary of that commitment I've made to my own dreams, my own vision. I've chosen this vehicle. All right. The ministry where I serve, they are the beneficiaries of the personal commitment I've made to myself. All right. That I'm going to master the thing. So I'm going to serve the best I can. All right. And that's how I see it. I'm not there to lord over anybody as pastor. I'm there as the chief servant. I'm going to show everybody, if you want to know what service looks like, take a look at this. This is how you do this. You put people first, you prefer others. Like, so if that's the deal, like, learn to suffer the violence of learning and then don't criticize yourself. Okay, you stink at it today. You've never done it before, but you will get better if you stick to it. And your goal is to grow.
I love it, man. And I got to compliment you. You messed my journal up. I had so many nuggets I wrote down for me. That's a good mess up, right?
Good
I
deal.
always keep notes in my journal, but you had so many little ones. I just had to keep writing them down. But, and by the way, everybody that's listening in, and again, you might listen to this at a different time or date. We want to tag people and share this is powerful information. And I love everything you just shared about fear. But he's also, Mr. Rashiid Coleman is a triple diamond with It Works Global. And very proud of that and proud of all your efforts and just your leadership with so many different people in this company. It doesn't matter what team they're on. You're just an open book with everybody. You always lend a hand. And, these are things that motivate guys like me, because when I grew up, I want to be just like you, right?
Yeah,
I want
right.
to learn from guys like you. No, I'm serious. Like, there's so many people. That's the one thing we talked about at the very beginning. One thing I love about this company is that most of the men that I've spent time with, very few, but the men that I have spent time with, they are high caliber men, right? And that's who we need to be around. People like yourself, Rashiid, because if we're not chasing people, we're not chasing success, right? There's no growth when you stand still, and there's no growth obviously going backwards. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of men. Today was beautiful because they got a taste of this culture. They got amazing information from you that's life-changing that some people pay thousands for, and nobody's going to be traveling anytime soon to a seminar. This is all going to be done online. Zoom is going to be the new that's going to be the new Netflix channel is Zoom, right? That's how people are having dinners on Zoom. It's pretty cool. But thank you so much for your time. I know your time is valuable. We can't thank you enough. And we look forward to seeing you here soon on probably one of our team Zooms. But for everybody else that tuned in today, let's take advantage of these promotions and please share this and tag some friends that you think need to hear the wealth of information from Rashiid. So thank you, sir. We'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Take care.
Okay.